And now we are going to be watching a piece. It's an overview by Daria Mille, one of the co-curators of the exhibition at the ZKM Karlsruhe Museum, one of the top 10 museums in the world. Daria Mille is a co-curator along with the main curator, Bruno Latour, the sociologist, with Peter Weibel, the director of the ZKM. They have an exhibition reflecting on Latour's thought of the critical zone. Let's watch.
Hello everybody and warmly welcome into the exhibition Critical Zones. This exhibition was initiated by Bruno Latour and curated by him together with Peter Weibel and the curatorial team at the ZKM Karlsruhe. In the center of the exhibition is a question of a shift in a perspective. Modernity left us suspended in the mid-air, but the deep ecological crisis that we are witnessing today tells us that we cannot live in the future as we used to live to, and we cannot live without taking into consideration the planetary boundaries. We need a new politics of the Earth on the planetary scale, and this politics has to emerge now. It is highly needed. Therefore, the following questions are in the center of the exhibition. On what territory to land? How to describe this territory? How to become terrestrial and aware of the manifold entanglements that shape the world we are living in? And what policies do we need to ensure that the Earth stays livable and habitable in the future? All these questions are in the center of the exhibition, and we need to find answers to them if we want to land without crashing. We live not on Earth that is a solid astronomical body among myriads of others, and not on the globe that has informed our relationship to the Earth so far. The globe, as a reference to define our relationship to the Earth, leads to a deep disorientation, suggesting that we take a perspective of dominance and control. We cannot see the territory we live in from an impossible perspective, from outside. The concept of the critical zone proposes another view, a view from within the living and entangled world. The term critical zone comes from geoscience and denotes the Earth's permeable near-surface layer, from the tops of the trees to the bottom of the groundwater. It is a living, breathing, constantly evolving boundary layer, where rock, soil, water, air, and living organisms interact. We live in and are embedded in the dynamic processes of this fragile and highly reactive skin of the planet, in which all life has evolved and created the conditions for sustaining life. Therefore, we are also part of its biogeochemical cycles. The Gaia hypothesis, co-developed by James Lovelock and Lynn Margulis, and the Earth system science teach us that the life forms do not passively reside within an environment, but they actively shape the conditions of their own existence and the conditions of existence for other life forms. And this happens through interaction of the life forms with each other, but also with the abiotic matter. Thus, soils, the atmosphere, and the chemical composition of the oceans are extensions, are products and byproducts of activity of living things. As Lynn Margulis put it once, life is made possible by other life. It is its own condition. How can we learn from other life forms to make worlds and terraform without extinctions and without devastations? How can we sustain endangered worlds and stories? What stories enable us to compose an Earth on which to land? How to map this new territory that suddenly emerged due to the ecological crisis? How not to think in toxic taxonomies and hierarchies, but to develop a worldly and involved attitude towards the world we live in. Have we ever been individuals? Have we ever been human? If we need to relocate ourselves, then we need to draw new coordinates of the space where we live in, but also become aware of the land we live from. There is a disconnection between the two definitions of the borders of our land: the borders of the nation-states and the real borders of the places that let us thrive and soil on which we rely. We need to superimpose these two territories on top of one another to better understand what we depend on, what we have to defend. These columns, constructed out of salt blocks, are a monument to the future extraction of lithium at the territory of the largest salt flat of the world, located in Bolivia. Lithium is extracted to boost the digitization and e-mobility. How are we interconnected with the colonial past in our ways of living and consuming? How can we become aware of the ghost acres of vast territories that ensure our wealth? Art, science and the knowledge of the communities come together, and commonly we organize a search movement for what it means to be earthbound and terrestrial, for what it means to be enfolded into this thin layer of life, into the critical zone where so many various transformation processes take place. Together we need to find a common ground in order to better understand how we would like to live together in the future and how we can reorient ourselves toward this new scientific knowledge.